Hey everybody, I'm back again for another live stream. So good to be here. This is English for academic purposes, and I am your teacher for today, Joshua Porter. I'm the director of Spokane College of English Language in Spokane, Washington, USA, and I'm very happy to be here with you. In the chat, let's see who is here so far. Rosa, hey, welcome back. Good to have you. And Navot Singh, let's see, welcome. Happy to have you here. And Clara, welcome to the chat as well. Excellent that you guys are here, making comments. Let's see. Hi. And am I saying your name correctly? Is it Navjot or is it Navat? Go ahead and feel free to correct me in the chat, and I will do my best to pronounce your name correctly. So once again, for anyone tuning in for the first time, this is Smrt English live stream, English for academic purposes, EAP. And what this class will try to prepare you for is study at any college or university or high-level profession where you will need English skills, academic vocabulary, things like that. Clara is commenting also. I'm not sure. Hey, Mr. Porter, you remembered either remembered my last name or you used it from me just saying it, and you formed the correct way to introduce in formal English if you're in business or maybe in an academic environment. We say Mr. Porter, or if I was a woman, Miss Porter. So welcome. I'm going to get right to the lesson today because there's actually a lot of academic vocabulary that I want to talk about. And I want to remind you of a couple things for this, this level of stream. This is a higher level English for academic purposes, and I will speak at the rate of a normal English conversation in academics. So I'm going to speak quickly so that you are familiar with a natural rate of speech for an academic class in, say, university or college level. But I'm also your teacher, so I'm happy to repeat anything that you need repeated or to slow down if you feel like I'm speaking too quickly. It's better for practice if you can understand my pronunciation and the words that I'm saying. So please ask questions, ask me to slow down or to repeat sentences, and I'm very happy to do that for you. So today I'm going to go to our lesson. And I'm sorry, I pronounced your name wrong. It looks like the J is silent. So Navot. Hopefully that's correct. If not, just keep on trying. I'm going to keep learning with you. And we'll get started on the lesson. And feel free to ask questions. Ask me to slow down or repeat words or sentences as much as you like. So here's the lesson for you. You can see, this way, up top, we have a pretty big vocabulary word list. So I'm going to zoom in on that so that we can see them more clearly. There we go. And our subject is the same as our subject from last class. Listening, contrasts between Chinese and Western medicine. Last class, on Tuesday, we did a reading on the contrast between Chinese and Western medicine. So that word contrast, it's saying that things are different. Returning students, do you remember any of the vocab words from last week? Did you make lists? Did you write them down? Did you try to practice them the last couple days? I know, Rosa, you sent your homework in since you're a subscriber. Thank you. I have that in correction for you, and you'll get that at the end. If you guys want to subscribe and get more bonus features and feedback from your teachers and get to talk to us directly, you can do so by going to the link. We'll include it in the chat window. Clara, hi. Oh, it's your first class here. Excellent. Welcome. Very happy to have you. This is our open class, but if you want to get more information and things, you can sign up and become a subscriber, and I will send you emails with homework and with more explanation in private chat and things like that. Mohammed, hello, how are you? Happy to have you in here. And let's go ahead and start talking about these vocabulary words. What do you guys think? Yeah? I'm going to zoom in very closely here so we can see the words, hopefully. And I'll just start on this side. These are alphabetical, so they're not necessarily connected or related, other than being in alphabetical order. But we'll talk about a lot of them, and then we'll try using them together later on. You'll also hear some native pronunciation in some listening exercises towards the end of the stream. So our first word is approach. Approach is a verb that means you are moving near to something, or something is moving near to you. So I could say in the past tense, my brother approached me at the grocery store. He approached me. He came up to me. Maybe he wants to talk to me or say hello. We can also talk about a concept, approaching something, getting closer to something. For example, scientists are approaching better cures for some major illnesses in the world. We are approaching a solution for some cancers or for some terrible diseases. Humanity has approached better methodology for health sciences. So these are different ways we can use those terms. All right, more people joining the class. Excellent, happy to have you here. All right, Clara, it's your first class. So we put in that link there if you want more information or to share the live stream. If you have friends that you want to send on over and learn with you, even if they're in another country, you can do that. And Rosa, your question is, approach can mean also theory, is that right? Not exactly. In some ways, yes. We're changing the part of speech then from a verb to a noun. I was talking about the verb approach, like to move near to something. You can use the word approach to be similar to the word technique or method or theory of practice maybe, but then you're using it as a noun. So I could ask the question, what is your approach to learning vocabulary? And my approach is I make word lists. I make word lists of words that I definitely know and just want to remember, words that I kind of know a little bit, I can use them, but maybe not perfectly. Words that I can guess the meaning, but I'm not sure. And then words that I have no idea, that I have zero knowledge on, zero schema of the word, never seen it before in my life, and no clues like suffix or prefix. So I make those lists when I study vocabulary, and then I make flashcards. What are your guys' approaches? What approach do you use? So yes, Rosa, you can use the word that way, but then it is nominative instead of a verb, a dynamic verb. And Searing, welcome. Welcome back. We're happy to have you. Hello. Glad that you joined the class. And let's see, Jonikio? Jonikio. Please help me with the pronunciation. I want to say your name correctly. It looks like Joniko though. Correct me if I'm not right on that. And approach, Muhammad, you wanted to know if approach means avenue. We do use the word avenue in slang or path to mean way to do something. Yes, possibly, but it would be slang. And I would not use much slang in academic writing. That being said, I think you could use the word avenue in an academic paper, but it's important to know exactly how you are using it. So I'm going to move on to the next vocabulary word, area. Hopefully you've seen this word before. It's a very common word. It's not just in academic vocabulary, but area is a designated space. So if you have children, you would let them play in the play area, specific area for play. You might want to be safe and wear a helmet or hard hat in a construction area, parking area, cafeteria area, any type of area. You add the word area, or you describe the word area with modifying adjectives, and it becomes a specific place to do a specific thing. So that is how we might use the word area. Our next word here is benefits. Benefits. So benefit can be a noun or a verb. And do you think, let's ask the stream chat here, do you think that is a positive meaning word or a negative meaning word? Is benefit a good thing or a bad thing? I'll give you just a couple seconds to type and tell me what you think. And good, Joniko, I pronounced your name correctly, it sounds like. I'm happy to hear that. Welcome to the chat and the stream. And please ask questions. Ask me to repeat if you like, or slow down if I'm speaking too quickly. This is an upper level class, so I want you to get native speech, rate of speech practice, but I'm happy to repeat. Okay, so 3 people here. Searing, you say positive. Navat, you say positive, and Rosa, also positive. You're all right, you're correct. A benefit is something good. So you could ask me, what are the benefits of working as an English teacher? And I might say to you, I get to meet amazing students from all over the world. I love my job, it's so much fun, and I get to learn things as we go also. So those are 3 benefits of my English teaching job. So we're going to move on. It sounds like you understand benefit. Chemical is our next word. Chemical. So chemical can be a noun, and it's basically the periodic table of elements. Those are chemicals. I'm going to bring up the periodic table here so we can just see the image. So here's the periodic table of elements, right? All of these are elements, and when we combine those elements, we create chemicals. The word for a person who researches and studies chemicals is chemist. Most drugs used in Western culture, we use chemicals. And chemicals can be natural also. Caffeine is a chemical that's found in coffee. It's the chemical that wakes us up, makes us feel energized, and it's a combination of elements. These chemicals, like for instance oxygen, O2, or carbon dioxide, these elements and these chemicals that are made up can be natural, or they can be artificial, is the opposite word of natural. Artificial is created by humanity, created by humans, not existing in nature. So we'll talk more about chemicals, but chemicals used in Western medicine to contrast Chinese medicine, which is our subject for the day, the contrasts between Chinese and Western medicine. Chemicals in Western medicine, like in the United States or Canada or Mexico, those are usually artificial. We make them in factories or labs. Chemicals used in medicine in traditional Chinese medicine are often natural, like extracts from plants or herbal teas, things like that. Let me see here. Just checking if there's any other questions. Let's see. Yeah, and it sounds like everyone's a little excited about being able to learn English and meet other people from all over the world. That's fantastic, yeah. So, moving forward, our next word is concentrated. Concentrated. So, when we take a chemical from a plant, and it's only part of the plant, one of the chemicals the plant produces, and we only need that part, we can distill it or reduce it down to a more pure form, and that is to create a concentrated version of that chemical. It means a very powerful chemical or drug that is in a smaller size. It's concentrated. One example would be, when I was a kid, my mom would make me orange juice. And when she made orange juice, she would use this frozen, like circular tube of frozen orange juice that was really, really sweet. It was syrupy. And you mixed it with a gallon of water or 2 gallons of water, and it would then be the correct amount of orange juice and liquid. So the original thing there is concentrated. The orange juice is not concentrated. So if you have questions about that, let me know. I'll try to think of other examples as well. So we talked earlier about benefits. Now we're going to talk about the word consequence. And I want to take another 10 seconds, 20 seconds, and ask the chat, is consequence a word with positive meaning or negative meaning? If I say the word consequence, is it something good or something bad? So think about it, talk to each other on the chat, and let me know what you think. So Salima, welcome to the chat, first of all. Hi, good to have you here. You say positive and negative. It's a good guess. Rosa, you say it's a noun, not a verb. Consequence, you're right, it's a noun. Nava, you say negative. And Rosa, you say results. And both positive and negative. So those are good guesses, and I love that you're guessing different things. Consequence is a result. It's something that is a result of an action. So it's like a second action. And a consequence, generally speaking, can be used in a sentence with negative or positive meaning. There were no positive consequences, we could say that. But I'll tell you, as a native speaker, we generally only use it to mean negative things. So everybody's sort of right, and it's a difficult question because I have heard Americans, native speakers, use the word consequence and mean it in a positive way, but if they're doing that, it's kind of like a slang type usage. Like, they're using it almost as a joke. For example, if someone walks down the street and it's late at night and it's kind of a dangerous street, but then something good happens, they might say, oh, the consequence of me walking down the street was finding $100. That's not academic usage of the word. The word consequence has a negative meaning in academic usage and in usual usage. So I would say only use it for bad outcomes. If your car stops working when you're driving because you forgot to put gas in it, that's a natural consequence. It's something that's bad. Your car doesn't work because we forgot to do something important. So I personally would only advise you, I would only advise you to use the word consequence to mean a negative result. And it looks like, Jonico, you said it's a benefit to have a class like this. Thank you. Yeah, I think so too. It's really great that you guys can come and study with us every week, twice a week. And actually, I should use this opportunity to tell you that we have exciting news. There's been so much interest in all the streams and live classes that we're going to do more of them. So there may be a schedule change for this class. I'll have more information for you later. If you're a subscriber, I will get that information to you as soon as I have it, as soon as possible. So watch your email and we'll get a hold of you soon. Rosa has a question here. You say, what about Western medicine? Does it have positive and negative consequences? Again, the word consequence as a noun usually has negative meaning. So I would not say positive consequence. I would say benefit, or maybe positive result, or positive outcome, because the words outcome and result are sort of synonyms for consequence and benefit, but outcome and result are neutral. They can mean both. You can have a good outcome or a bad outcome. You can have a good result or a bad result. But with words like benefit and consequence, benefit is always good. The benefit of studying vocabulary here with us on Smrt Livestream is you get more vocabulary and better understanding from a native speaker. The consequence of you not studying vocabulary or missing the class is you don't learn. It's a negative outcome. So the words outcome and result are neutral. They could be good or bad, but consequence is bad and benefit is good. Thank you so much for the questions. Jonako, you brought up the adjective beneficial. It is beneficial, we'd use that, I guess, adverb as an adverb. We can use some of these words in different parts of speech, but an example sentence would be, it is beneficial to brush your teeth twice a day. Keeps your dental hygiene healthy. Nice, beautiful smile if you brush your teeth twice a day. It's beneficial, good for you. The consequence of not brushing your teeth is you might have tooth pain or your teeth could fall out. So that's the way we might use those words. Okay, moving forward, and you're welcome, Rosa. I'm happy to help and answer questions. Ask all the questions you want. I'm here for you. All of you students, you can ask me anything as many times as you want. I'm happy to help. Good teachers love questions, so keep them coming. Contrary. Contrary is our next word. And this we use as part of a collocation. We would string together the words contrary to blank, blank, blank. One example would be contrary to popular belief. Contrary means an opposite word or an opposite meaning. Much like we use the word but to show an exception or an alternative. For example, I like coffee, but I don't like sweet coffee. It's showing the exception or the thing that is different. Contrary we use in the same way. I say commonly in my regular speech, contrary to popular belief, and that idiom means most people believe something, but something else is true. So, contrary to popular belief, the Venus flytrap was actually originated in the United States. If you've never seen that's a strange sentence if you don't know what the Venus flytrap is. The Venus flytrap is a carnivorous plant that many people think comes from a tropical location. It catches insects and it digests them to produce energy. It's a very fascinating plant. And most people think that it originated in a tropical environment outside the United States, but this is a native plant to the United States. It's where it originated. I'm using vocabulary from last class, by the way. Words like originate and source. I'll try to use vocab from last week also to remind you. So contrary to popular belief, the Venus flytrap originated in the United States. Culture is review from last week. We talked about culture. Culture is a way of living, and it's usually associated with nationality or country of origin. So American culture, Canadian culture, Mexican culture, Saudi culture, Brazilian culture, all these different cultures we associate with country names. But even inside of a country, we can have different culture. In America, East Coast and West Coast culture is different. You can have a work culture. Maybe at work you get to dress in very casual clothes and you get to play basketball or take breaks and naps and play games for little bits in between your work. Or maybe you work for a very strict place where you have to wear a suit and tie every day. Those are different work cultures. Like the work culture at Google is a lot more fun and wild and crazy than the work culture at, say, a hospital where things have to be very serious and controlled. So culture is a way of living in an environment. But if you have questions, let me know. I'll explain more. Solomon, welcome to the chat also, if I haven't said welcome so far. Your question was, can we say consequences is the opposite of a benefit? Yes, in a way. The benefit of being an English teacher is I get to meet many students all across the world. The consequence of being sick is I don't get to show up to work. So we can use them in similar ways. They're not exact antonyms, but you can think of them as words with opposite usage or meaning. Let's see. And Joniko, remember, I did say earlier you can have good or bad consequences, but it's not common to say good consequence. My advice as a teacher is don't say good consequence, because consequence has the meaning of negative. And if you hear somebody use it on television or online, they're using it as kind of a joke or slang with secret meaning, like slang meaning. But you should know the word consequence has negative meaning. And Siring, you gave us a great sentence using contrary. Thank you for that. You said, contrary to popular belief, basketball originated in Canada. And I would delete the was in that sentence. We don't want to make it passive. We just want to make it active. Contrary to popular belief, comma, basketball originated in Canada. You're right, basketball did originate here. Also baseball. Many people think baseball is an American sport. I mean, it is, but the first baseball game was in Canada before it ever happened in America. So we love our northern Canadian neighbors. I'm actually in Canada right now, and normally I do my live stream out of my studio in Spokane, Washington, USA at Spokane College of English Language, where I work as the director. But I get to visit Canada this week and hang out here with our sister college. It's a whole lot of fun. So interesting Canada facts and perfect for today's stream. Thank you for that. Let's see. And Joniko, you said all the contrary. I think you mean on the contrary. On the contrary. We can use this word as part of another collocation using on, preposition on or particle, on the contrary, and you say basketball originated in Dominican Republic. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm going to have to look that up now. I thought it was Canada, but I don't know, maybe. So we're going to keep moving through the words, and then we're going to get to the listening exercise in just a couple minutes here. So let's keep moving, and let me know if you have questions on the new words we're going to talk about. The next word here, distinct. Distinct is how we pronounce that. Distinct is something that is different from other things in a recognizable way. For example, if you drive a car that you painted a special painting yourself, like maybe you drew a big smiley face on the front of it, or a color that you mixed up yourself that's very unique. It's distinct. It looks different. Easy to find. I know when I travel to other countries and many people have backpacks or bags that look similar to mine, I will tie a piece of cloth on the backpack so that when I see it come down from the airplane or off the bus or whatever, I can notice it easily. I make it look distinct so that I can identify it. Unique is a good synonym. Yes, Siring, thank you for that. That's perfect. Extract. So extract and extract are spelled the same, but the noun and the verb are pronounced differently. Some words in English are like this, and we just have to memorize it. We have to learn the pronunciation. But if you listen to native speakers, like my examples, you'll be able to learn the correct pronunciation. So the verb is extract. extract. And I'll give you an example sentence. The doctors were able to extract a sample of the tumor. The doctors were able to extract a sample of the tumor. That's the verb, to remove something from a bigger portion. Now the noun is pronounced extract. There's a little break there. You hear the syllables. Extract. And an extract is when we take a chemical from a plant or source and we remove just that chemical or just that part of the plant that we need. And I say plant because most medicine used, even in Western medicine, even if it is artificial and it's created, it originally was an extract from a plant. So again, the verb is extract, the noun is extract, okay? And I'm happy to pronounce those again for you later on to remind you. Let's see. Oh, okay, and Junico, you were making an example. You say your sentence was just for fun, just an example. Good to know. I was wondering for a minute if basketball originated in the Dominican Republic. Could have, I don't know. But thank you for your clarification. Rosa, you say Western and Chinese medicine are two distinct, divergent approaches, is what you'd want to say at that last part there. You're right. Yeah, they are two distinct, divergent approaches. So Western medicine and Chinese medicine developed in different ways. Good example. Our next word is focus. The focus of this vocabulary list today is to choose words that are used in the contrast between Chinese and Western medicine. And if you're a subscriber, you have this link you can log into. This is 2-1B, and it's the listening exercise. And we're going to go through the rest of the vocab words and then go over the listening as a whole class together. So our focus is the difference between Chinese and Western medicine today. It's what we're talking about, our main topic. It's what we want to choose to learn about today. Mohammed, let's see, sad face. Why the sad face? Can I explain something for you or let you know something else? Or is it just because we're talking about illness and sickness? I remember when I started studying medicine, when I was in pharmacy, before I was a teacher, I would get like sad thinking about all these illnesses and talking about all these words that are about sickness and illness. But then I changed my mind. I started to think if we learn more about this, we can become good doctors or healthcare professionals, and we can help heal people and make people feel better. So let me know though, if I can explain something, I'm happy to. Salima, you say the day's news is to focus. Let me see. Oh, I'm not sure. We're going to try to focus on the lesson here. And then, let's see. And Kit, I believe is how I say your name. Welcome to the chat. We're focusing on English learning here and learning medicine terms and the difference between Chinese and Western medicine. So let's keep moving through the words so that we can get to the listening part of the lesson, which I love. You'll get to hear a different speaker than just me. Ignored. Ignored is a word that means to just pretend that something isn't happening or didn't exist. And sometimes it's intentional, sometimes it's accidental. But usually if something or someone is being ignored, it means there's no attention to it. I've seen new parents who have little babies who cry. When a baby cries, of course you want to go over and you want to help the baby and hold it and make sure it's happy and healthy and not hungry. But for them to get their babies to go to sleep at a regular time, sometimes when they knew the baby was clean and happy and healthy and had food recently but it was crying, they would ignore it and just pretend that it's not happening so that the baby could learn not to cry all the time. And they were doing that intentionally. They were ignoring that. We can do things unintentionally too, though. If I sort of forget to put gas in my car, I don't fill up the tank, and I don't change the oil, and I don't maintenance my vehicle, I have ignored my responsibilities. I have ignored them. And it's ultimately my fault, my consequence, because I didn't do that and now my car doesn't run. Let's see. Focus means concentration, is that right? That is your question, Rosa. Yes, focus means concentration. We can say my focus is on English. My concentration is on English. So yes, that's a good synonym that you can use. And it looks like Jiao, is that how I pronounce your name? Claudio? You said your focus is to conclude your bachelor's degree. Excellent, that's awesome. Is it in an English-speaking country? Because if so, this class will be great for you. Searing, you say to avoid, ignore. Kind of. Ignore is your concentration, your focus. If you don't focus on something, you don't concentrate, you are ignoring it. Avoid can be used in a similar way, but ignore is usually a cognitive verb, something that I do, like think or focus. Avoid is usually a dynamic verb, like I avoid something that was thrown my way, right? If someone kicks a football and it goes right past me, I can avoid being hit. I wouldn't ignore it. So they're not exactly the same. Think about ignore as a cognitive verb, something that happens up in your mind, your head, and avoid can be that sometimes, but it's more often a dynamic verb. Like if you're driving a car, you would avoid an accident if something happened. Let's see here. Jao, you say I ignored your last comment. I think I commented on that, but if I missed it, just ask again, and I'm happy to help, okay? Luciana, focus can be concentrate. Yes, you're right, absolutely. And let's see here. We really need to focus right now. I agree. Let's get back to the word list. Next word is interact. 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 Interact is what we're doing right now in the chat window. We are interacting with each other. We have a conversation going where you give me questions and I interact with you through the camera so that I can be your teacher from thousands of miles away. It's awesome, right? So that is interact, to have two parties having an exchange, interacting. And we can think of that as like having a conversation or discussion. It's good interaction. Isolated is our next word. So for some students, when they study, they need to isolate themselves, put themselves in a room all alone. Isolate could be most easily defined as a verb with the meaning of to put alone or to make completely alone. So parents sometimes, to punish children, will isolate their child. In this context, you know, they send you to your room or something like that as punishment. In this context, isolate means the same thing, but a doctor might isolate the cause of symptoms. So for example, when you get sick, it's not just one bad thing that happens. Usually your head hurts, your nose might run, you might cough, your throat might be sore, many things could happen. And there could be many causes. So a doctor's job is to diagnose and to isolate the root cause of the problem. Like, what is really wrong? What is happening that is causing all of these symptoms? So that's what we might hear isolate, or the context in which we might hear isolate. Let's see here. Yeah, and Nava, a little off topic, but you say some students feel isolated when they leave their home country and are interacting among other students. Like if I was the only English speaker in a country, I might feel a little bit isolated. That's the beautiful part about learning English for you guys as students. Even if you're traveling to a country where they don't speak English, or you don't speak their language, they might speak English, because English is spoken all over the world. So if you travel to France and you are from Russia, you may not know French, but if you know English and the French person knows English, you can still communicate, you can still interact. So I love teaching English because it sort of brings the world together. Okay, our next word is maintaining. Maintaining. To maintain something is to keep it going, to keep it working. For example, I've used my car as an example a lot lately. I maintain my car by changing the oil, by checking the fluids, by adding gasoline, by working on it. I maintain it. So I'm maintaining my transportation. I'm maintaining it. Our next word is medical. So medical is just the adjective for medicine related, right? We have instruments or tools, and then we have medical tools. We have doctors, so you could be a doctor of language, doctor of English, for example. Or you can be a medical doctor, MD. For you students, if you want to go study at a university and become a doctor, you will probably get an MD or some sort of medical degree. We've used the word negative a lot. I'm actually going to skip over negative. If you do not know what it means, please send me a comment and I will be happy to explain. But I think all of us know. Let me know if you do not, okay? Obviously. Obviously is a word that means something that is clearly seen, something that is clear to see. Obviously, I have hair on my head. It's very clear, right? Obviously, I am wearing a shirt. I'm not naked. I have a shirt on. It's easy to see. I have hair. It's very clear. So I would say obviously, the adverb meaning this is of course true. Positive, just like negative, I think you probably know. If you don't, send me a comment and we'll explain it. But if you have been listening to the conversation this class, you probably know. Let me see here. Near synonym. This is a good question here. Joniko, you said, so isolated is a feeling. Yes, it can be. I can say the sentence, I feel isolated. But it can also be a dynamic verb, like doctors isolated the chemical from the plant. Or doctors isolated the gene in the DNA sequence. I think we haven't yet talked about genes. It's a DNA double helix. This is what makes up our genetic code. Different, let me see if I can find. Different genetic markers in our DNA double helix. The genetic code that distinguishes between how tall I am, what color my eyes are, what color my hair is, what you look like, how, what kind of illnesses you might get sometimes. These things are in your DNA sequence. And we could say doctors have isolated the genetic marker for this disease, for blank disease. That means that they separated it. They put it alone. They discovered the one of many that was responsible for a disease or a genetic trait. Let me see here. So it can be a feeling. It can also be a dynamic verb, like something you do. Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate you saying I'm doing a great job. I'm trying my best and happy to help you any way I can. Mohammed, you asked if you asked the difference between a couple of adjectives related to benefit. So if you want to use benefit as an adjective, you would say beneficial. The beneficial outcome was we learned new English words. A beneficial perk to my job would be I get to meet many students from all over the world. So you would say beneficial. Very funny, Navat. Obviously, we do not know the meaning of negative. Ha! Yes, I know you know the meaning of negative. That's great, though. Obviously, I am teaching English. Yes, good job. Jeo. And I still want to know if I'm pronouncing your name right. Let me know, okay? And Jonico, obviously you are teaching right now. Same idea. You guys should talk. You got the same brain going on. Searing, when I say dynamic, thank you. Physically related to explain something. Yeah, that's great. And if you have questions about the way I explain things, please let me know, because I want to make sure you understand my definitions also. So if I define a word like isolate, for example, if I define that word and I say, oh yeah, sometimes it's a feeling, sometimes it's dynamic, and you don't know the word dynamic, please ask. That's the way we learn, right? You can ask as many questions as you want, and I will stay here and answer all of them. I love to answer questions. So yes, dynamic is like an action. So for example, a photograph, if I take a photo, it's static. It's not moving. It's just not moving at all. A video is dynamic in action. There's movement. There's something happening. So yes, dynamic is a physical action. Great question. Thanks for that. All right, Jem, hey, what's up? Welcome. Claudio. Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. So I'll call you Claudio. Great name, by the way. So let's keep going through the words, and then we'll get to listen to the listening exercise. Yeah, we're running short on time. So I'm going to go very quickly over these last words for you, okay? And these are the last words. Potentially. Potentially is to mean something maybe will happen. Potentially, we will have a cure for all cancer in the next 20 years. That would be great, right? Potentially. It's like saying maybe. Process is the answer to the question word how. How do you make coffee? How is asking for one of two things. Either your happiness and health or a process. So if I say, how do you make coffee? You're going to say, step 1, you heat the water. Step 2, you add the tea. Step 3, you wait. Or did I say coffee? Step 1, you heat the water. Step 2, you run it through the coffee grounds. Step 3, you wait. So there's steps. That's a process. Refined. Refined has a few different meanings, but the meaning we're going to focus on is extracting something, like a chemical from a plant or a source. So refined sugar, we know that sugar can come from many different sources, but I think of sugar cane, and they will refine sugar cane to give you the powdery stuff you have on the table, maybe at breakfast or lunch or dinner. That's refined sugar. So refine is the verb, Refined is usually an adjective when we're talking about medicine. Retained. Retained means to keep something. For example, if I cook a food, sometimes the flavor will change. But if the flavor doesn't change, I could say it retained its flavor. It retained its flavor. If you grow up in one area of a country and you move to another, you might have an accent that's a little different. You retained your accent. You kept it. You kept it with you. So it just means to keep something from an earlier state. Specific. Specific is something that is distinct. It is my computer. The specific article in English is what? The. We have a, and the. If I say a doctor, or I say an illness, those are not specific. Those are any. It just means one of many. I'm not talking about anything specific. If I say the doctor, the illness, I'm talking about only one. I'm talking about a specific one. Target is like our goal. We talked about goal last class. I'll let you look that one up because we got to keep moving. And then techniques is also review. So I'm going to move forward with our academic vocabulary words because I want us to be able to hear the listening before class is over. We only have an hour, so this is other vocabulary. We do not have time to go over all of them, but I would encourage you to study these words tonight. If you're a subscriber, you have access to this link and the homework assignments. If you're not a subscriber and you'd like to be, please visit the link in the chat or send me an email or reach out and contact us. Information's on our YouTube channel also. So let's go ahead and go through the listening, and we're just going to talk about it. We're going to have a discussion about it at the end. And if we have time, we'll do a few of the practice assignment questions here. So this says we're going to use the vocabulary and fill in the blanks. If we have time, we'll try to do a few of those. If not, and you're a subscriber, this can be extra work you do afterwards. So let's go ahead and listen to this. It's about 1 minute and 40 seconds, and then we'll chat, okay?
We'll be continuing today with our discussion of Chinese and Western medicine. Previously, we talked about diagnosis and how these two systems differed in very general ways. I want to stress that we're talking about these types of medicine in very general terms, and we're not trying to make absolute statements about how they work. All right. With diagnosis, we saw that the Chinese system tends to be much more holistic. That is, doctors look at the whole body when patients are sick and believe that the body itself as a whole must have some type of imbalance. In contrast to this, there's the Western system that tends to analyze the specific cause and location of an illness. One uses personal observation more, and the other scientific instrumentation. Okay, now we'll move on to the next step of the process, which is the treatment of the illness and what doctors actually do after diagnosis has been made. First, we'll talk about the medicine that is used under each system, and we'll see again this contrast between natural and scientific we touched on before. Then we'll get into the bigger picture of what the goal of the treatment is, what effect each system hopes to have, and what they hope to achieve through their treatment.
Okay, so we got to listen to that and hear some of the vocabulary that we've studied, and we can make some predictions, make some guesses about what more information we might hear about this. So take just a minute and think about what else we might hear, and then what the focus of this listening exercise is going to be. Okay, so just 2 minutes or so. Think about that, and I will be back and discuss your chat with you, okay? Sorry, I didn't have the mic on. I realized that. So sorry. I said a bunch of great learning things, though, for you that I'll repeat right now because you missed them because I'm crazy and I forgot to turn on the microphone. I'm sorry. Thank you, though. You guys were all very quick to say no sound, no sound, no sound. Thank you. You can hear me now, though, right? Okay. So rewinding back to what I tried to say earlier. I was going over your feedback for what we predict will happen in the listening, and all of you were correct. All of you were great. You said we're going to hear more about the systems of medicine, what is different and disparate. We're going to compare the two different medical systems. You also said the treatment and the goals of the different systems we're going to talk about. Yes. And all of those important words have the same meaning, the disparate nature. What is different about it? So we are talking about the contrasts. In another lesson, we can study about the similarities, but for now, we're just focusing on the differences. So good job. And I said earlier also that, Ankit, you said our target, our goal is to spread love all over the world. I agree completely. If we can help each other, we can help each other learn English, we can go to university, study medicine, we can cure some of these terrible diseases and help with hunger. Yes, absolutely. And Ankit, you wanted to know about the word potentially again. So the word potentially means maybe, like something might happen. If we all work together and we all help each other, potentially we can cure all the world's diseases. We can stop war and poverty, and we can all help each other live a great, happy life. So thank you for your input and questions, and for letting me know that there was no sound. I'm sorry about that. Let's see. Okay. Why are we contrasting and not comparing Chinese and Western medicine? Rosa, good question. There's so much information that for one class, we just want to talk about the contrasts. And we did that in our reading class. Now we're following up with our listening class. If you studied for 5 hours in a day at one of our colleges in either Vancouver, Canada, or Spokane, Washington, USA, we might talk about these two things in the same class, the same day, but we have 5 hours. Here we only have an hour and a little bit more. So we're only reviewing the contrast things, and then we can study again in the future the similarities. So there's so much information because they're huge systems that we want to kind of break it up and isolate the contrasts and then isolate the similarities and talk about them separately. So thank you for that. Good question. Hopefully that explains it for you a little bit. So now we are going to listen to the full listening. It includes the introduction you heard before and some more information. I'll make sure the sound's on for you. And listen to this, and then I will come back on right afterwards, okay?
So medicine, if you look way back through history and prehistory, comes from nature. The plants around us, especially in certain areas of the world, like in the Amazon, for example, still contain many of the drugs and remedies that we need. As you can imagine, Chinese medicine, with its approach to illness, prizes herbal medicine, which is made from a natural plant and not overly processed, manufactured, or refined. Go to a Chinese pharmacy and you'll find many treatments in the form of tea, just dried out from specific plants and mixed together. Of course, each patient would get a different prescription of this medicine, as they would each get a personalized diagnosis. Keeping with the idea that the body is an intricately connected system, these herbal drugs are thought to treat the whole body, not just a specific area that is ailing. Also, using the whole plant means it has retained all of the nutrition it originally had, and the belief is that all parts of the plant interact to heal a patient, not just a single extracted chemical. There are other distinct properties of this type of medicine. One is that Chinese medicines tend to be slow-acting because the active ingredients inside them are diluted because the whole plant is used. Being slow-acting has some benefits in that there tend to be very few, if any, side effects from taking this type of medicine. Beyond herbal medicine, Chinese doctors will also focus on the lifestyle of the patient and will prescribe non-medical activities such as maintaining a healthy diet and habits, as well as getting more specific types of exercise. As we said, culture influences these medical systems quite a lot, and so in this way, we can see how Western medicine differs, especially in its production. Using its more industrialized techniques, Western society takes the natural ingredients that contain the medicine, the plants we talked about, and puts them under the microscope to extract the specific chemicals that actively attacks and helps heal a given illness. The whole plant is not used, and unnecessary parts are simply discarded once the essential drug is distilled and bottled. So, opposed to being natural, Western drugs are artificial, synthetic, and are manufactured in a laboratory. The active ingredients are isolated and concentrated most often in pill or injection form, so there is nothing extra or unwanted in them. Because of this high concentration, Western drugs can act very, very quickly and help alleviate symptoms more rapidly than Chinese medicine can. Contrary to the ideas of Chinese medicine, the rest of the body tends to be ignored in this process, and the idea of holistic healing doesn't really apply, as these drugs target specific areas. The downside of getting the quick results is that because drugs are more concentrated and not diluted with other potentially helpful ingredients, there is a much greater risk of side effects. For example, chemotherapy and radiotherapy may help target cancer and help eradicate it, but the consequences can be quite extreme. Both types of medicine can be effective in different situations for the same illness, but obviously each has a positive and negative side.
All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to our stream here. And I hope you learned some new vocabulary, got to practice some vocabulary from last week. And thank you so much for the amazing questions and comments. You guys are doing great. And if you want, oh, Jose, you just arrived. Sorry, the stream's just ending. You're going to have to tune in again soon. But we have lots of streams. We have lots of classes. And I mentioned earlier we have some good news. There's so much interest and excitement about these classes that we're trying to open more and offer more classes at different times. So the schedule might change a little bit. If you're a subscriber, we're going to email you and give you all the juicy details. If you're not a subscriber, you should check out the YouTube channel often. You'll see new classes come up over the next week or two, and new options and things like that. And you can always contact us and ask us any questions you have. We'll get back to you. So keep doing that. Check on there often. Like I said, the times might change a little bit, and I'm very happy that you all came. Jose, show up early next time and check the schedules online. And thank you guys so much for all the questions. Rosa, Searing, Daniela, Samelia, let's see, Erdogan, thank you. We had so many great questions today. Mohammed, that's excellent. Claudio, thank you very much. Jonico, lots of great questions. I appreciate that. I think I've got everybody. Andres and Luciana, thank you. Everybody that showed up, thank you so much. And show up to our other live streams. They're great. You get to meet a lot of awesome teachers and hear native pronunciation, learn vocab, tell your friends, share a link, all that good stuff. I'll see you again soon, and thanks so much for joining today, okay? All right, have a great day.